We live in an era where entertainment has become a collective addiction, and the price of it is higher than it seems. We're not just killing time, we're getting lost in it. With every autoplay episode, every irresistible notification, we lose fragments of what makes us human. Silence, presence, depth. Does that sound exaggerated? Well, know this, we've never been so distracted and paradoxically so empty. The promise was simple, entertainment to relax. But what we got was an endless cycle of stimuli that empties the mind, dulls emotions, and weakens our ability to reflect. The scariest part? All of this happens without us realizing it, like someone smiling in a dream while reality crumbles around them. But hold on, there's a way out. And it begins now, in this video, where we'll face this invisible addiction and understand how it's silently shaping the collapse of a generation. In times when silence is uncomfortable and emptiness is frightening, entertainment appears as an escape route, quick, accessible, seductive. It's no longer about leisure but emotional survival. People dive into endless series, addictive games, hypnotizing social media, all to numb a pain they can't even name. Escaping has become a habit and reality a stranger. It's as if the inner world is on fire, but hitting play is enough to muffle the sound. In the past, boredom sparked creativity. Today it's treated like a system error, something to be instantly eliminated with another notification, another short video, another scroll. Boredom, that old master of reflection, has been fired, replaced by the frantic rhythm of stimulus consumption. And when the mind has no room for emptiness, it finds no space for truth either. It's there, between one episode and another, that life slips by unnoticed. Excessive entertainment has become a modern form of soul procrastination. Complex feelings like sadness, frustration, or anguish are quickly buried under canned laughter or parallel realities. Like a child afraid of the dark who turns on every light, the modern adult lights up screens to avoid dealing with their emotions. Escape is never the path to encounter, Nietzsche would say if he saw this generation running away from itself. Responsibility has become synonymous with burden, and the artificial lightness of entertainment seems more attractive than the weight of existence. But here lies a paradox. In fleeing from pain, we also flee from growth. Those who refuse to face life as it is also refuse to live fully. True relief doesn't lie in escaping reality, but in learning to face it with courage, and that's not found in the next episode, but in the next conscious step. We live in an age where dopamine has become the new gold. Each like, each notification, each episode delivers small doses of instant pleasure, cheap and abundant. But there's a cost. The brain begins to demand more and more stimulation to feel the same well-being. It's like a spoiled child who, after tasting candy, rejects real food. And so, little by little, we become addicted to quick rewards and lose our taste for silence. Silence, once sacred, now feels uncomfortable. Many can't bear being alone with their own thoughts. Introspection has become an arid, forgotten land that no one dares explore anymore. Instead of contemplating our existence, we prefer to slide our fingers across glowing screens, hunting for the next hit of stimulus. Patience slowly dies. The overstimulated mind becomes unable to settle on an idea without immediately craving the next. Simple habits like reading a book, meditating, or even looking out the window have become challenges. Anything that demands focus without immediate gratification is rejected. This not only weakens attention but also the depth of our emotions. People start to seek only what is easy, fast, and light, forgetting that life in its most authentic form is also slow, dense, and often uncomfortable. But that's where transformation lies. Those who learn to tolerate silence discover hidden treasures. It is in stillness that the soul breathes. It is in discomfort that growth emerges. Dopamine, though powerful, cannot be life's compass. As Seneca once said, nothing is more pitiful than the busy lives of many, living without truly seeking to live. Seeking pleasure is natural. Being ruled by it is dangerous. There's a silent mourning taking place and few notice it, the death of concentration. The human mind, once capable of dedicating hours to a single thought, now scatters within seconds of any shiny stimulus. We live in the age of short videos, pre-chewed summaries, instant opinions. Deep thinking has become an almost heroic effort. And in the middle of this whirlwind of distractions, critical thinking fades, like a candle in a storm of notifications. Concentration is not just a skill, it's the gateway to wisdom. Without it, ideas don't mature, arguments don't solidify, and decisions become shallow. The excess of information, paradoxically, leaves us less informed. After all, consuming is not the same as understanding. And the brain, conditioned to speed, loses the joy of depth. Focus becomes a muscle atrophied by haste. How many times have you tried to read a full article, and before finishing the second paragraph, your mind had already drifted elsewhere? That's not laziness, it's conditioning. It's the brain trained to jump from stimulus to stimulus like a restless monkey swinging between content branches. To break this cycle, we must retrain the mind. Recovering concentration is an act of rebellion against the culture of rush. It's saying no to the superficial and yes to the essential. Thinking deeply is dangerous because it leads to questioning, deconstructing, changing. And maybe that's exactly why it's so rare nowadays. Those who can concentrate in a world full of distractions gain a rare advantage: the ability to see beyond the obvious. And that, deep down, is what defines a true thinker. Free time, that precious space where the soul breathes and the mind wanders, has been hijacked by non-stop entertainment. Today, even our moments of rest come with a lit-up screen. Creative idleness, which once generated ideas, projects, and discoveries, has given way to constant occupation. It's as if silence has become unbearable, and the only way to rest is to keep busy, just in a different way. A way that drains us inside even if it doesn't look like it. Creativity is born in the intervals between commitments, in the boredom that allows daydreaming, in the pauses where the mind allows itself to play. But when every free second is filled with videos, memes, podcasts, reels, and lives, there's no space to create, only to consume. And what isn't nourished dies. Ideas wither, dreams become generic, and the mind becomes just a reproducer of other people's trends. It's ironic. Never has there been so much talk about authenticity, yet we've never been so synchronized in our habits. Everyone watches the same shows, repeats the same catchphrases, follows the same profiles. Where's the time to truly discover who you are? Sometimes what's missing isn't another course or mentorship, but simply sitting in silence, looking at the sky, sipping coffee without your phone nearby. In those small pauses lives the possibility of something new. Relearning how to rest is revolutionary. Swapping a show binge for a walk in the park, replacing an endless feed with a conversation with yourself. Cultivating emptiness is preparing the fertile soil of the mind. After all, creativity doesn't scream, it whispers. And those who are always too busy with the world's noise can't hear it. True rest doesn't distract, it reconnects. We live in an era where noise is mistaken for relevance. The culture of distraction has made spectacle a priority and silence a threat. Everything needs to be shareable, viral, attention-grabbing, even if empty. And in the middle of this frenzy, the individual drifts further from themselves, preferring the distorted reflection of applause over the uncomfortable mirror of introspection. After all, it's easier to shout along than to listen to your own thoughts in silence. This distraction isn't just technological, it's cultural. It's an entire society trained to avoid depth, to run from pain, to laugh when it really wants to cry. Life has become a constant performance, where we act all the time just to avoid feeling. But the problem with living distracted is that, sooner or later, the soul demands presence. And that demand comes in the form of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and unexplained exhaustion. Because no one can live disconnected from themselves for too long. The modern mind has become hyperactive but shallow. It processes 1,000 pieces of information per minute but retains almost nothing. Distraction has become an emotional crutch. And the most dangerous part? People don't even realize they're limping. They say they're living. But living isn't just about being busy, it's about being whole. And no one is whole when their mind is always somewhere else. A cup of tea with presence is worth more than a whole week of irrelevant content. Unplugging doesn't mean isolation, it means recovery. The culture of distraction needs to be challenged with small practices of presence. Walking in silence, cooking without music, writing in a notebook without filters. Finding yourself takes courage. The question is, when was the last time you truly found yourself? There's a curious and troubling phenomenon taking over society. Adults living as if they were still 15. Not in body but in the way they think, feel, and act. Superficial entertainment, with its instant appeal and easy rewards, feeds a childish mindset that avoids discomfort, ignores responsibility, and flees from any form of maturity. Growing up hurts. And it's exactly that pain that entertainment numbs. Adults who don't mature emotionally become dependent on external stimuli to deal with internal frustrations. When things don't go as expected, the response isn't reflection, but escape. Games, series, short videos. Maturity requires frustration tolerance, patience with the process, and a willingness to make an effort. But how can we cultivate these virtues when everything around us rewards immediacy and passivity? Superficiality has become an addiction, and an addiction disguised as leisure is even harder to detect. Infantilizing oneself has become a form of defense. Like a child pretending to be asleep to avoid a scolding, many adults pretend not to see their own stagnation. They prefer to repeat silly catchphrases, follow dumb trends, and avoid any conversation that demands depth. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's fear. Fear of growing up and having to give up the comfort of staying shallow. But true peace doesn't live in the shallow end. It hides in the deep waters of self-knowledge. Taking responsibility for your own development is, today, an act of courage. It means saying enough to endless comedy, to constant escapism, to let life lead me. It means understanding that maturing doesn't mean losing lightness, but gaining consistency. And that fun without purpose, when excessive, becomes a trap. Want to feel more like an adult? Swap a night of empty distraction for a good philosophy book, an honest conversation with someone close, or a solitary walk with your phone on airplane mode. Growth begins with these subtle choices. Feeling hurts, and how it hurts. But it's that pain that shows we're alive, human, authentic. However, in a society that idolizes performance and runs from vulnerability, feeling has become a synonym for weakness. The result? We trade emotions for distractions. When sadness hits, here comes the funny video. When loneliness creeps in, a series binge does the trick. Consuming has become the new crying. And no one knows how to deal with pain anymore because no one allows themselves to feel it. This silent trade, feeling for consuming, creates emotionally malnourished adults. People full of content but empty inside. Not because they lack information but because they lack connection to what really matters, their own inner world. Entertainment, when used excessively, is no longer pleasure, it's numbing. And those who live numb don't heal, they only postpone pain. Like covering a wound with glitter. The problem isn't watching a movie or playing a game. It's using that as the only way to escape emotionally. Feelings exist to be processed, not ignored. Sadness needs listening. Anger needs channeling. Fear needs comforting. But how can we make space for emotions when the mind is always busy? It takes courage to stop and ask, what am I really feeling right now? And be willing to listen even when the answer is uncomfortable. Relearning how to feel is relearning how to live. Instead of running from pain, how about writing about it? Instead of ignoring discomfort, how about talking to someone you trust? Therapy, journaling, art, spirituality, these are ways to return inward and allow yourself to be whole. Because consuming entertainment may distract, but only feeling transforms. And only those who allow themselves to feel are capable of living deeply. We are surrounded by edited stories, filtered lives, and scripted love. The narratives we consume daily shape our expectations in a silent yet powerful way. Modern entertainment sells idealized versions of life. Perfect romances, meteoric careers, constant happiness. And when reality, with its imperfections and delays, shows up, frustration hits hard. Because that's not what they promised at the end of the last episode. The mind, bombarded by these perfect images, begins to question its own life. Normal relationships seem boring, regular routines feel like failures, real achievements look small. Comparison sets in like a subtle poison, corroding contentment. The problem isn't dreaming big, it's forgetting that the path there is winding, full of stumbles and silences. Fiction, when taken as a standard, turns real life into chronic disappointment. How often does someone feel frustrated for not having a love story like in the movies? Or for not reaching the meteoric success of the influencers they follow? This distortion of reality comes at a high cost. It affects self-esteem, motivation, and above all, gratitude. Because those who expect perfection all the time stop seeing the beauty in imperfection. And living in weight of a movie-worthy script is forgetting that real life doesn't need an epic soundtrack, just presence. Reconnecting with the real is a powerful antidote. Looking at your own journey with more compassion, celebrating the ordinary, honoring the timing of things. That doesn't mean giving up on dreams, but recognizing that reality, with all its mess and beauty, is richer than any script. Life doesn't need to be perfect to be valuable. It just needs to be lived with eyes wide open, not through someone else's lens but through your own. In the digital theater where everyone performs and few truly live, validation has become emotional currency. A like is worth more than a sincere compliment. A public comment weighs more than an intimate conversation. Social media entertainment has stopped being a pastime and turned into a showcase, where every post seeks approval, every photo hides a silent plea. See me, accept me, validate me. And in this game, the true self gets shaped by the expectations of others. The constant search for attention breeds anxiety, dependence, and chronic dissatisfaction. The pleasure of being noticed lasts seconds, but the need for more keeps growing. The problem is, the more one lives to be accepted, the less one knows who they are. Identity becomes an avatar and self-worth a graph that rises or falls based on others' reactions. When humans are measured by digital metrics, they lose the depth of their own existence. There's nothing wrong with sharing moments or connecting online. The risk lies in turning it into an obsession. When personal value depends on likes, any silence becomes a threat, and many get lost in that noise. Authenticity gives way to performance, and the fear of not pleasing paralyzes spontaneity. The lingering question is, who would you be if no one were watching? Freeing yourself from this invisible prison begins with small acts of courage. Posting less, living more, giving a compliment without needing to be seen, doing something good without needing to show it. Rebuilding self-esteem away from social media is like rediscovering the joy of solitude, real connection, self-love that doesn't need an audience. Because in the end, the most powerful approval is the one you give yourself. No filter, no hashtag, just you with you. Inner silence, that sacred space where the soul whispers and the spirit breathes, has become a rare item. We live immersed in noise, not just sounds around us, but the constant noise of information, stimuli, and obligations. The mind, always busy, never rests. And when there's no pause, there's no awareness either. Listening to yourself requires silence. But how can we hear our soul if it's constantly drowned out by content overload? Being alone in silence used to be a sacred encounter. Today, it's treated as an error to be corrected with headphones, background videos, or infinite feeds. Many confuse solitude with emptiness, but they're opposites. Well-lived solitude is fertile, creative, healing. The real danger is not being alone, but never being with yourself. Because the soul only speaks when the mind is still. And few know how to be still. Without inner silence, decisions become unclear, emotions pile up unprocessed, and the sense of purpose dissolves. Life becomes a rush, where everything seems urgent but nothing is essential. Wisdom is born in silence. It's there that answers emerge, feelings organize, truths reveal. Ignoring this is like living in a house too noisy to notice it's burning from the inside. Recovering silence doesn't require big changes, just small conscious choices. Waking up and spending 5 minutes in silence before grabbing your phone. Taking a deep breath while watching the sky. Walking without headphones, listening to your own breath. These practices, though simple, are intimate revolutions. Because when the mind quiets, the soul speaks. And in that silent dialogue we find who we really are. The truth is, entertainment is not the villain, but how we use it can turn us into mere spectators of our own lives. Awakening begins when we realize that living numb is a choice, and that there's power in reclaiming presence, silence, and depth. You don't need to abandon everything, but you do need to ask yourself, how much of what I consume actually nourishes me? Freedom isn't about disconnecting from the world, but about knowing when and how to connect with it. To feel again, to think, to focus, to create. All of that is still within you. You just have to start. And as that piercing phrase says, if you don't fill your mind with purpose, the world will fill it with distraction. If this content touched something in you, made you reflect, shift direction, or even just pause for a moment, then it's already served its purpose. And to keep walking this journey of awareness, growth, and reconnection, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's much more coming and you won't want to miss it.